Hi, I'm Steve Farrell, the Worldwide Executive Director for Humanities Team, and welcome to this Whole System Shift panel. The Humanities Team Oneness and 12 Spheres of Life initiative is based on the Wheel of Co-Creation and the 12 Around One model of Barbara Marx Hubbard, a powerful representation of the Whole System Shift. The 12 societal spheres comprise the full list of the basic functions of any community. The 12 Around One principle can be seen as representing the stability in nature and is the basis of the concept of tensegrity pioneered by Buckminster Fuller. This panel will talk about the global movement that is currently transitioning our unity and harmony to humanity and that serve the flourishing of all of life. This is visionary work led by Barbara Marx Hubbard and her associates and important pioneering organizations such as the Association for Global New Thought, AG&T, and Humanities Team. I'm going to go right into panel member introductions. I'll introduce panel members one at a time, and then we'll go straight to questions and panel discussion. Barbara Marx Hubbard is a visionary and social innovator and has been called the voice for conscious evolution, and many would agree she is the global ambassador for conscious change. She is an evolutionary thinker who believes that global change happens when we work collectively and selflessly for the greater good. As a prolific author and educator, Barbara has written 7 books on social and planetary evolution. Barbara is not an idealist, nor does she believe that social and planetary change is simple. But she does believe that humanity has the tools, fortitude, and resolve to take the leap towards conscious evolution. And welcome to Global Oneness Day, Barbara B1.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Great to have you here. And next, Dr. Barbara Fields is Executive Director of the Association for Global New Thought, AG&T, and co-founder and project director of the Gandhi King Chavez Season for Nonviolence. The mission of the Association for Global New Thought's programs is spiritually guided activism to support concerned and informed citizens in their emerging role as ethically motivated community leaders. AG&T is consciously bringing forth the evolving human and awakened world through the practice of universal spiritual principles and the energy of unconditional love. Welcome to Global Oneness Day, Barbara B2.
Thanks, Steve. This is really great. Thanks for having me here.
You bet. Great to have you. Next, Juan Carlos Caden is the social artist with skills focused on global collective intelligence, leadership development, social network, and organizational transformation. He holds a master's in leadership and sustainability and has extensive experience in business and social entrepreneurship in Mexico and abroad. His focus is to develop new technologies and opportunities for social innovation, which enable us to operate from a holistic paradigm of interconnection, unity, and interdependence. He is the founder of 11 Mexico, an NGO fostering collective actions for social well-being, and is a member of the Hague Center. Welcome to Global Oneness Day, Juan Carlos.
Thank you. Such a pleasure to be here with all of you.
You bet. Great to have you with us. And last, definitely not least, Todd Goldfarb is a social entrepreneur, blogger, internet marketer, and curator of tipping conversations at Worldwide Tipping Point to measure global awakening. He is also the founder and leader of Amplifield, the platform supporting Global Oneness Day this year. Welcome to Global Oneness Day, Todd.
Thanks so much, Steve. Honor to be here.
All right. Great to have you here. And, wow, so much to cover in so little time. So let's just jump right into questions and discussion. And Barbara B1, I'll direct the first question to you. We'll just kind of start at 1,000 feet. Of course, you're leading all of this pioneering work with the wheel all over the world, and you convene a large meeting in Monterrey, Mexico, to review your activity. Can you update us on recent projects and share how they relate to awakening oneness in the world for people that are new to the wheel?
Yes, well, I'm delighted to share this. And Juan Carlos has been working with me as the coordinator of this. We have been we've been invited to propose an Office for the Future for the United Nations. And last week, the week before last, I was asked to address the United Nations by Ambassador Chaudhry, and I delivered about an 8-minute talk on how to synergize the Sustainable Development Goals with the planetary peace movement that was initiated by Avon Madison under the high forum of the culture of peace, which has been established at the UN. So we're moving into a semi-official position of initiative here with the whole idea of the wheel of co-creation, because the Office for the Future is the wheel of co-creation in action. And we're also having a meeting here on Saturday for initiating the planetary mission, I'm calling it, which is a mission of missions, such that we can begin to synergize so many of the great initiatives already happening. And I'll just say the last thing, one of them that is so exciting to me is Richard Branson is initiating a space flight with a very famous pop star coming down from space. And I've been invited to ask her if she would be willing to make the whole event into a planetary awakening in love global celebration. You will love this, Steve, that there will be a global moment. We could actually call this the world moment that we're in right now, the global moment of the shift from fear to love on a planetary scale, with the Zero-G colony founders who were innovators and technology experts doing a kind of office for the future process with the wheel of co-creation to start to synergize the great initiatives already existing. So I'll just say that almost 87 years old now, after having said these things, on your beloved show for so many years, oh my goodness, they're going to happen. So I'm feeling really, I would say, amazed, and my advice to all visionaries is don't die. Just keep going, because
good thing we can't die.
You can't die if you're a visionary, because most visionaries die too soon. So they don't get to see it, But I am actually not dying right now, so I'm being able to see some of this come into form. So I'm very happy about it. And Juan Carlos, it has been a major, major influence in being able to do the wheel of co-creation.
Right. Well,
Thank you.
We'll go to Juan Carlos next as we go around this panel. But wow, Barbara, a global celebration of the global movement that for this shift from fear to love, and then bringing in what you're doing with the United Nations connected to this, and bringing in this space flight thing, and Richard Branson.
The space flight and singing from outer space,
Yeah, well, we're going to come back to that. We just bookmarked that here. We're going to come back to that. Juan Carlos, and it's true, you are right here with B1 traveling. You were here in Colorado for the meetings out here a couple months back, and in Mexico, and you're doing this work all over the world that's supporting this shift and the wheel. Can you bring in just things that maybe can take us a little deeper into what's happening in the world relating to the wheel of co-creation?
Sure. Well, there is a great movement of convergence. Everything is speeding up, and I can see that everybody around the world is just organically following the patterns that Barbara has set in her vision. Everybody is mapping, connecting, tracking, and communicating what works in many ways. Right now, I am right now in the Netherlands, and this Sunday I am going to Denmark, and we will be facilitating a process using the wheel of co-creation along with the meshworking processes of the spiral of Dombeck in terms of bringing a whole community for a co-creative process in service to the SDGs. So this is something interesting that is happening. I am prototyping this in Mexico, now here in Denmark, and we are building a prototype in terms of how to build an alliance between civil society, the people of the community, and business. Sustain a socially responsible business, and these processes that we're building is to get a unified voice of the citizens coming up with what they want to do. And so we're working using the wheel of co-creation as the basis tool, along with some few other methodologies, but all of this is coming to be a global synergy movement all around, that it is being integrated in the concept of the Office for the Future. It's exciting at times what we are building right now here.
I'll say, wow, in Denmark, the Netherlands, and gathering with people there to further this work. And you mentioned conscious business, this prototype you're sharing that builds an alliance between people and socially responsible business. Wow, so that's exciting. I hope to come back to that too. Okay, Barbara B2, let's go over to all the exciting things happening in AT&T over the years. Of course, you, Barbara, and people probably know, Barbara Fields and AT&T co-convened Global Oneness Day in the early years twice, and they've been involved in Global Oneness Day from the very beginning in 2010. And then, of course, you have your amazing programs that you're launching this year. You've got this Engage Spirituality Tools to Empower the Conscious Majority program that's coming up. Can you talk a little bit just about Global Oneness Day, your involvement in it, and this exciting program that you've got that's coming up later this year? In fact, it's just a couple of days.
Thanks, Steve.
24th through the 27th.
Yeah, thank you. You can be my promotional guy.
I'll do that.
In many good. That's great. It feels like in many ways AT&T for the last 20 years actually has been training the troops on the ground to be taking part in and I would say the karma yoga, the action yoga of actually bringing the envisioned change and shifts that we've been talking about on our calls and on our webinars. I feel as if it's the people within the New Thought movement having reached out to literally millions of other people around the world who have been in training and actually delivering programs into their communities that create oneness and a type of social uplift for the community for years now. And you're many of the listeners on Global Oneness Day because we've worked together and we share so many of the same constituency. They're very aware of the Gandhi King Season for Nonviolence, Season for the Earth, Season for Humanitarian Service, and for interfaith and intercultural celebration. So what we have is in 67 countries and over 900 cities, we have a track record of people who have been applying their spiritual principles and their ethical values and their deep-seated, profound spirituality to the ways that they're building their families, who they're networking with in their communities, and then actually from that basis, which is what we call spiritually motivated social activism, from the standpoint of this profound spiritual ground, these people have been creating working projects and programs in the community for 20 years. And so we're celebrating the 20th anniversary of Season for Nonviolence in 2017. And I want to talk to you about this because we're planning a long-term, a 12-hour global webcast where people from all over the world who have participated since 1998 can actually assemble in groups and talk to one another about, because they've never met, they're all over the place, but they're working on a common vision and they've achieved so much. So aside from being so excited about the 20th anniversary and doing the global webcast, the other thing that we're doing next month, as you mentioned, in San Diego from October 24th to 27th, is a symposium where we're bringing together some of the world's foremost spiritual activists, and along with the people who are really ready to jump to the next level, is to bring the vision and the love and the compassion and the spirituality that they've been cultivating for so long, really bring it into the workshop setting and train people how they can better assist their communities and be the shift that wants to change the world.
Amen and amen. That sounds great. Here, Barbara B2, so we'll come back to that too, but I certainly agree. I love what you all have been doing over the years. Of course we do. We work so closely together. Spiritually motivated social activism. You all created that term, and it's oneness in action. It's unity in action. And these things, programs that you have, your season, Gandhi King Chavez Season for Nonviolence, and then this other program here that that you've created for this year just are so exciting, and bringing people together who already are spiritual activists with the leaders who were activists to really kind of put the pedal to the metal. It sounds great. Okay, Todd, we're going to come over to you. And, of course, as I mentioned, Global Oneness Day is hosted on your platform this year, on the Amplifield platform. But it's been around a while. The Paris COP program came in through the Amplifield platform. Barbara Marks Hubbard's been using your platform for different functions. Of course, you just had this big meditation program, and we all love this platform that you've built. It supports prayer, healing, and meditation. So can you tell us a little bit about it? What was your vision for this platform? Why did you put it together, and how is it supporting this whole process of awakening oneness in the world?
Yeah. Well, thank you for the question, and it's just an honor to be here and listening to the previous three beautiful souls sharing their gifts. And I've worked with Barbara Marks Hubbard quite a bit, and Steve, really getting to know you in this process. So I'm honored that the Amplifield is playing a role in Global Oneness Day this year. The vision is quite simple in some ways. The question that I've been grappling with since I started my career as a digital marketer in the late 90s, in that first bubble of the internet, when this magical platform appeared that can connect us from all over the world with one another. It was being used just kind of in a very interesting way. We were just trying to figure out what it was. And we seem to be at a moment in time where this digital web of interconnectivity, we can now think about it as an organism that we can consciously infuse the types of qualities that we want to see in the world: healing, love, compassion, oneness, all these things that we're really here to do. And so my personal life's vision and mission is to do that, is to actually figure out ways to infuse those qualities that we want to see in the world into the digital medium. And it's not the only answer. It doesn't take away from, how we interact with each other personally or getting together, one-on-one as individuals. And the internet and the digital environment is not a replacement for anything, human. But imagine, if we can start utilizing this platform and infuse this type of consciousness, new consciousness, this shifting, tipping point energy into it. And that's the genesis of the Amplifield, which is a platform that is being built right now to host millions of people, eventually tens of millions of people that can come on here and pray together, synchronize meditations, host events like this, like Global Oneness Day, to name it directly and say we can actually amplify or accelerate what is happening on this planet right now, right here. And what's so cool about the digital environment is that we really can scale it. We can get millions of people. This is not just kind of saying those words. It's waiting to happen. And events like this and the COP21 Climate Change Summit, which happened last year in November, that the Amplifield was asked to play a role there. It's all pointing in that direction, where we can now take a very strong and clear stance and say technology is here to help us. It's our choice in how we use it. And the Amplifield is here to play a role in spreading more love and peace and compassion on this planet. And it's not the only one. There's many other platforms like this in emergence, but this one is really directly naming it. So again, it's an honor to be here. That's the purpose of this thing, and I'm glad to be playing a role.
Awesome. Wow. And so glad that you decided to build this platform, because things like healing, love, compassion, and oneness which you share we need to infuse into digital medium and into the world in general. God knows we all agree with that, Todd. So to have a platform that supports that is right on target. And, of course, the acoustics are amazing. People are listening right now to this program, been listening now for a good part of the day. And, wow, haven't the acoustics just gone up? Haven't we raised the bar from the Maestro Instant Teleseminar platforms that we were using in previous years? This is the first year that we've platformed this from Amplifield, and we're real excited about it. Well, let's just go down into some practical things here as people are considering this whole system shift. And B1, I'm going to come back to you, Barbara, B1. So as we talk about making this transition from a global society that some would say is destroying its own life support system to this life-sustaining, life-supporting society, how do we make that transition? Are we making that transition? What things can you?
I really take an evolutionary perspective on this. And if you look at the 13.7 billion years, you see systems go into disorder and jump to higher order from entropy to syntropy for billions of years. That's how nature has done it. So the first thing you notice is crises, and dysfunctionality is necessary because it starts to disassemble the existing structures. And what happens is innovations and mutations occur. In the biological realm, there are mutations. In the social realm, there are innovations. And what happens in a dissipative structure model in nature is at a certain point, the innovations, creative initiatives, the heartfelt actions tend to connect very quickly. And when they do a nonlinear, self-organizing, systemic creation of a new whole system. And our bodies have trillions of cells that came through to these jumps in separate parts, creating a new whole. So what I see in the current crises, we have exactly the level of crises, which hasn't yet destroyed our environment completely. It's a signal us we could destroy ourselves totally. That signal is enough to wake millions of us up. And many of us have been awake before the crisis just because we like to do things that are kind and innovation and loving, even without the environmental crisis. But with it, I think the key now is connecting and synergizing that which is already created. And so that's what I'm dedicating my life to now, and planetary mission to be a mission of missions. As you can imagine, all these initiatives converging on an internet site, like Teilhard de Chardin called it the noosphere, the thinking layer of Earth, in which everybody's uniqueness is simply expressed and given in love, but the system itself, the nervous system itself, helps you locate what part of the body you are in, what other partners are working with you already. So it's not like it's a huge planetary vocational dating event in which we joined together in love to create, because it's also true that no matter how great any of our initiatives are, none of them can work alone. And things like Amplifield and what you do, Steve, with Global Oneness Day are major efforts at synergizing what's already working. And I'm just suggesting to all of us that we lifted up one more degree of internet sophistication and an invitation to participate. And I feel that my function, particularly with the space flight and the Richard Branson space flight, if this happens the way it is currently being planned, and we have a planetary awakening in love as, let's say, a major event in 2018, we'll all work together to see how many of us not only could participate emotionally and spiritually, but by saying what we're already doing into a site that could awaken the nervous system of our planetary culture. And people have been saying to me, this is a form of synergistic democracy. It's not changing the structure of government as it now exists. It's evolving an internet nervous system site for what's already convergent. And what that's going to do is lift the whole system to the higher order, and eventually I believe it will change government itself. But I don't think you can go into government and try to change it as it currently is. So I'm feeling that the synergistic convergence of what's emergent is the key now. Thank you.
Wow, that's exciting. Barbara B1, and what an optimistic and hopeful message. And I know, I think we're all shaking our heads. I know I am. I'm guessing all of us are. But yeah, that's a good description. It's that we're in this dissonance.
I could just say something here, Steve, about what the new story of evolution does share with us is that crises precedes transformation. And I think it's very hard to understand the crises if you don't understand how evolution works. If you don't understand that nature has been doing this and crises are a natural part of the system, and most of our crises on Earth have come from our success. Overpopulating, polluting, capitalism, and I think also, if I may be really bold, that the shift in the war machine, in the war machine can only occur through the shift in co-creating the new. It's not going to be on stopping the war machine. And we had this discussion at the United Nations. It's on creating something so attractive. And I'll just give my last thought. Many years ago in Washington with space scientists and astronauts and so forth, we came up with a new global goal. And here's the goal. New worlds on Earth, new worlds in space, new worlds in the human mind. And we had a big SynCon wheel of co-creation around that goal with like an ambassador from Bangladesh and people who were very rich and poor and white Southerners and black power leaders, etc. And we said, how would it affect you if we had a global goal? Building new worlds on Earth is all the environmental and personal deficiency needs that we have that are so painful. We have the capacity to do this now. New worlds in space, I've learned from all my space pioneering friends, we have resources of 1,000 Earths in space, and they want to build there. They should. New worlds on Earth, new worlds in space, and of course new worlds in the human mind, heart, and spirit, which most of us have been working on, are an essential component. So I think we're going to have a new national global goal that's so much more powerful than war, that the people who will be able to do it are the same people are so good at building all these war machines. They have to be excited by something really new.
Oh, man, and you'll be one of the faces of that in 2018, hopefully when you're on this space flight, Barbara. And hopefully nice if they can,
I will. I don't know if I'll get up there with this pop star, but I'll definitely hopefully be a voice. Maybe I will get up there and sing from space.
Yeah, well, you're certainly a voice already. That's wonderful. You know, and it's optimistic, it's hopeful, and it's true. So that's just perfect. Thank you, Barbara B1. And Juan Carlos, again, we're kind of going down into some of the more grounded aspects of how we're manifesting all of this from the wheel. So when the operation of virtually all of mainstream society is involved, how can we affect major environmental trends such as ocean acidification or global warming, through this work?
Well, something that we are working on right now, it's a process that we call social acupuncture. And the work that we are working on through this process is in scanning, as the wheel of co-creation process suggests, scanning what is working in the world. That is also through the process of social acupuncture using spiral dynamics. This is helping us to understand our social ecosystems and find what are the key actions, the strategic actions that we can take, not only to do things better, but to evolve the system, to create a quantum leap in consciousness. So we are working in this process at the community level, gathering the community's genius and also the will of many conscious business leaders, that they understand now that it is a business decision to support community development and to make sure to understand that out of my egoistic consciousness that I want everything for me, many people is understanding that if I want to have more, I need to make sure that everybody has enough, so everybody will be better off. So through the process of culture, we are finding golden innovations, and that has to do on the new ways on how do we improve better environmental solutions at the service of humanity. How do we, not only in the environment, but how do we bring better ways of governance, better ways of distributing wealth, and better ways of healing people. So in this way, the mainstream society is getting involved in doing breakthroughs, in implementing breakthrough solutions. And I believe social acupuncture and eventually some of the elements that we're working with is social alchemy that has to do on how do we also bring the spiritual consciousness into the shift of consciousness and solutions that we need to bring to the world. So this is the way I believe this is working. And just to finish, I believe that all of this convergence of people acting, connecting to one another and working collectively is going to take us to this critical mass of people taking collective actions, everybody all at once. when we achieve that moment, and I believe that through the message that Barbara will be sending to the space and the building of the synergy engine that many groups are building. I am right now here in Rotterdam with a group of people wanting to build the synergy engine. And when we have these capacities to connect to one another and collectively orchestrate one action, everybody at the same time, this is going to be the moment when the planetary shift in consciousness can happen, acting in that way. So we are one step away as humanity for a planetary shift. We just need to know where to do that step and to agree on making it collectively. So I believe this is the way we will be tackling many of these topics as environmental issues and ocean acidification and global warming. Everything is interconnected. So to answer that question, we need to make sure that as a system, the whole social system is healthy. And this is the way we are approaching this. So, I hope this is bringing some clarity of what is happening, what we're working on.
Yeah, boy, that's beautiful, Juan Carlos. Thank you. And making sure that we have a system where the whole system is healthy, humanity and the planet. And wow, what an intriguing concept. I haven't heard of social acupuncture before, from Spiral Dynamics. So that's, I think, something probably a lot of people will want to hear more about. Let me just come back over to you here, B2, Barbara B2. When we speak of whole system shift or whole system transformation, meaning doing everything required to actually become ecologically sustainable, because everything is interconnected. How does this work? You've got, of course, your season for the Earth, Barbara B2. Can you just share examples of how we're creating a more ecologically sustainable Earth just through our oneness, through our interconnection, through our activism?
Yeah. Well, the importance of the spiritual basis is, I think, what's allowed the success of that program over the past almost 10 years. We started Season for the Earth. The program actually starts with what Juan Carlos has been talking about. We developed a central set of resources and learning tools that virtually anyone who wanted to participate from around the world could gain access to. And this allowed communities to work together to develop their ecological sensibility in general, to learn how to buy less but buy better, to learn about how to adopt more sustainable lifestyle practices and build collaborative communities. This gave rise to a greater quality of life and economic vitality as a result of many of these programs. And it started to create a new cultural norm within the community so that people were satisfied that they were aligning their purchasing choices with their values. There have been so many opportunities for people to be in real time working together and actually creating large-scale change in the community, which, because people were doing it all together at once around the globe, it actually has made a big difference.
Wow, wonderful. Yes, and I love your seasons program, and of course you launched it at the United Nations, didn't you? And you've got these 4 seasons, including this one focusing on the Earth. And just bringing it.
We launched it in 1998, and then for the next 16 years we've launched it at the UN, inviting in many of the youth at risk in the Tri-County area in New York, because these kids are the future, and they need to embrace these goals. We can't just hand them down and expect something to happen.
That is so true, and I'm glad you brought in youth. I wanted to make sure we brought in youth as a segment, youth leadership. Todd, let's go over to you on this. And Barbara, I guess I want to just say again, thank you for that. I love buy less and buy better, and this is developing an ecological sense in general, just wonderful. But it's not only wonderful as a theme; it's wonderful at a program level where you're putting these things on the ground and inviting at-risk youth in there near the United Nations to participate. How cool is that? That is just super cool. So, Todd, over to you, because, of course, your platform really focuses on the youth demographic. Can you talk a little bit about that? What are you seeing in this area of transformation and shift and awakening that involves youth and the millennials and youth leadership?
Yeah. Thank you. And I'll share humbly because I've worked in this field of transformation and growth for many less years than the other participants in this call. But when I started working in this field, which was a little bit of a revolutionary choice at the time in 2005, 2006, as someone trained in kind of digital marketing and just being, at 25, 26 years old at that time, and saying, I'm going to put my skill set to use in this kind of transformational world and start working on these projects that really a lot of my peers weren't doing necessarily. And my experience of it has been, at that time, it was harder to make a living. It was harder to kind of, there was a hunger for growth and transformation and all these things that we're seeing in the shift and the tipping point and the oneness and what we're doing here on this call. But we're really seeing this incredible acceleration and interest in spirituality, in the idea that we are all connected. And spiral dynamics has been brought up a bunch of times on this call. And what we're really seeing is just a continuation of the evolution of the stages of development. And more people are waking up, having awakening experiences. The crises in personal lives from the younger generation, are happening, and they're looking for other sources of inspiration, of happiness, of joy. And because the internet is sprawled and there's just so much out there, meditation and mindfulness practice is now a mainstream thing. 3 times in the last 4 years, mindfulness, that term has been on the cover of Time magazine. If you would have told me that, 12 years ago when I started working in this industry, I would have said you're crazy. So there's a hunger, and these are the younger people. I live in the heart of San Francisco. I live in the heart of the technology hub of the world where everybody's trying to create something. And the interest that the Amplefield has been causing, even in this space, which is typically more focused on, technology, impact, monetization, money, which is what a lot of people think of when you think of the tech space. However, there's such an interest in social impact and the things that we're talking about here in meditation and mindfulness. And what I'm seeing is that this is the very beginning, as Barbara calls it, the nervous system. The Amplefield represents that, and there's going to be a lot of other things that soon will represent that as well. And we're just at the very beginning. This is the tip of the iceberg. We're gonna really see an emergence of a new form of spirituality coming through the digital domain, digital world that will be generated by the younger generations of people that are wired for this in a way that we are not necessarily, just because they've grown up in a different world than we have. So it's truly, truly exciting. And more specifically, what's exciting to the younger generations, if you actually look at the technologies themselves, it's this live interaction, this live, very present moment interaction. Facebook just introduced their Facebook Live program, which is basically you can do a live video feed, and it's really exploding. Snapchat, which is probably the most popular social networking tool in the world, particularly for the younger generations. Instagram and Snapchat are really what the younger people, I'm talking 21 and under, are using, on their phones, is Snapchat and Instagram. And this is who is going to inherit the world for the most part, and that's what they're using. And the interesting thing about those technologies is that they're very present moment oriented. It's about what's happening right now, and not a lot of archived content. It's like what's happening in this very moment, which I think has a lot of beauty and grace to it. And so when we're looking at developing technologies that are meeting the younger generation, and this is what we're looking to do with the Amplefield, is how do we create it in a way that gives these younger people access to amazing content, new ways of thinking about the world, and meets them where they're at in terms of how they digest content and information. And so it's really through this very present moment oriented way of delivering media and content is what seems to be working. And the great news, guys, is that it's just happening. Like, these people are hungry for it. I can't even tell you how many younger people in college contact me about the ample field. Like, oh, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. How do I get involved? And so I'm really seeing an excitement, an interest that is way beyond what I've seen in the past. And I think this is so key for what we're trying to do here. So it's truly exciting.
Steve, could I say something about Amplifield? I just want to say
B1, please.
The thing about Amplifield, over and beyond all that Todd has already said, is that it's working towards mass harmonic. It's not only mindfulness and meditation, but when we did the COP21 event, people were able to put in their intentions, and they were shown to be part of the planet. And then we had moments of shared intention in a meditative state, which I believe, as that amplifies, really, and as we're able to get millions of people in that field, on Amplifield, toward a noosphere or thinking layer of Earth, not only getting its collective eyes, but collective heart and collective spirit, that Amplifield has a unique function that no other medium that I'm aware of has. And I really want to thank you, Todd, for taking the tremendous initiative and sacrifices in what would be more traditional ways of doing things to set this up for humanity. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you, Barbara, so much for seeing it so clearly from day one. You saw exactly what it was, what it could be, what the potential is, and taking a stand for it. And you all have, and Steve, you have too, by having the Global Oneness Day be on this app. Because we're experiencing it right now. People are listening to this in this moment, are seeing the intentions go by, and are seeing the map and the globe, and it's real, and it's now, and it's happening. So I'm honored to be doing it, and I'm just playing my role.
And I think we should also, Steve, have moments of shared intention on Amplifield, even as we're doing Oneness Day, because the shared intention in a spiritual, meditative, deep state of intentionality, we know the universe is responsive to intent.
Yes,
and
it is. Barbara, do you want to share on that now? Just an intention.
It might be just a moment. Yes, well, of course, the moment that I would see is that everyone, everywhere on Earth who is impelled by this impulse of love and creativity to give more and be more is in this instant synergized. And that the unique spiritual heart expression, along with the expression of coming into new form, new social structures of all kinds, that the new form and the new heart and the new spirit are blending on Amplifield now throughout the world, such that we are embodying personally and in social creativity the impulse of love now.
Amen and amen. Wow. Well, stunning. I didn't want to jump in there anywhere in this threaded conversation. So, yes, meditation and mindfulness coming into the mainstream, the shared intention, this intention right here, right now, that Barbara just shared. Let me invite people to, on the Amplifield platform and on the Global Oneness Day site, of course, that's globalonenesssummit.org, there's places where you can leave your aha moments, your comments, your questions, your inspirations, your intentions. And I invite you to go there now and share with us. And we'd love to hear from everybody, and we definitely want to hear from you, from youth, because, of course, we have a lot of youth participating this year. Very exciting. Okay, Barbara, I'm going to come back over to you here again, just to kind of get down into the tangible in this with this whole system shift. There's a lot that's occurring in this whole. There's quite a discussion around changing our debt-based economic system, unraveling trade agreements that make economic growth more important than community and environmental well-being, and more. Just on these areas that are tangible, could you just talk a little bit about the discussion that you're in, the things that you're seeing, the trends that you see?
Is this Barbara Fields or Barbara Hubbard?
This is B1.
B1. Well, yes, I am working right now with a man called Stephen Ellinger, who has developed a type of economics he's calling holonomics. And he is suggesting that we're moving beyond the nonprofit or for-profit mode. And we've had something called B Corp and kind of interim types of corporations. But this goes beyond it to create an economic system that is in the pattern of nature. And he is coming to visit us in terms of the planetary mission on Saturday with the intention of developing a holonomic structure of participation in an evolutionary entrepreneurship manner to connect that which is already emergent, so that when people enter the mission, they would do it at an evolutionary entrepreneurial level, as not just a nonprofit level. So I've been in a nonprofit all my life with the Foundation for Conscious Evolution, and we have to initiate it in the nonprofit mode. But I'm very excited about, we don't have a good name for the holonomic structure of enterprise, which I think the conscious capital world, and you're doing such a marvelous job with, Steve, in conscious business, is moving us in this direction. And I'd like to suggest that you invite Stephen Ellinger to speak of, it's really a quantum jump of structure itself, that because he's a businessman and a manager of large-scale funds already himself, he knows the management, he knows the economic world, and he's an innovator in that world, and I recommend him highly. And I would like to intend that the structure of social synergy will have an evolutionary entrepreneurship, holonomic quality that we haven't seen before yet.
Well, I will definitely reach out to him, and exciting. And yes, we, of course, Humanities team together with 3 other NGOs, the Club of Budapest, based out of Europe, the Koi Peace Foundation, based out of Japan, and the Fowler Center for Business out of Case Western Reserve University, created this Conscious Business Declaration. If you go to consciousbusinessdeclaration.org, you can read about it. And there's actually a whole initiative there to create a Conscious Business Day and Conscious Business Designation. And Stephen Ellinger sounds fantastic. We'll certainly reach out to him. And thank you also just for that. Sounds exciting, this whole holonomics that brings in a new economic system based on the pattern of nature. So that sounds real exciting. B2, let me go over to you, because, of course, today is Monday, October 24th, Global Oneness Day, and this evening and this week you've got this incredible conference going on, Engage Spirituality, Tools to Empower the Conscious Majority. And you shared a little bit about it earlier. Can you just bring in a little more? I'm sure we have listeners that are in that area that can maybe jump right on this now, too.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for giving me that opportunity. You know, I was just thinking a minute ago when you were talking about the Fuji Declaration, and I was saying, oh, you know what? Masami Sayonji, who along with her husband and Irvin Laszlo drafted the Fuji Declaration and is the founder of the World Peace Prayer Society, and is also very active at the UN. Masami is coming with her daughter Yuka to address the conference on the divine feminine leadership for peace in the world at our symposium in San Diego. And I'm very excited about that because, you know, Japan is a ways away. And, she doesn't travel that often. And she has so many practical stories to share with us about how to bring the divine spark of spirituality into our everyday lives. Nipun Mehta, who has been appointed to the President's Council on Faith-Based Initiatives and the founder of CharityFocus.org and ServiceSpace.org. James O.D., who's an incredible, very well-known Sufi spiritual activist, will be there with us. Reverend Wayne Muller, Steve Behrman, he's a pal that you work with on Global Oneness Day, otherwise known as Swami Beyondananda, and almost 24 workshops on these important topics. So I invite people to join us if they can.
Yes, wow, sounds awesome, and that's in San Diego. And, of course, many of these people, they're partners here in some huge initiatives going on, also speakers during Global Oneness Day, et cetera. Steve Behrman, James O.D., the Sanji family. So super exciting.
Yeah, and of course, Michael Beckwith will be there, who is a regular. And people can find out more at consciousmajority.org. I forgot to say that.
consciousmajority.org. Okay, people can check that out. And again, that starts tonight, the evening of the 24th, and it goes through, I think, is it the 27th or 28th, Barbara?
The 27th, yeah, it's 4 days.
27th. So be sure to check that out. Boy, if you've got budget to just jump on a plane, or if you're anywhere in the Southern California area, it's certainly something that you're going to want to check out. Well, let's see. We're down to 2:28. We've got about 9 minutes, and I'm going to need 3 of those minutes. So I told you this hour was going to go fast. What an exciting conversation! I just want to thank you all so much. I'll just bring in a thank you already, because it's been such a just inspiring conversation with many pearls of wisdom, and I'm sure I'm speaking for the listeners. Let's go to maybe the thing that you want to leave with listeners, because I know in this conversation where we've been going deeper and deeper into these messages of oneness, of transformation, of change, of tangible things happening on the ground, of how youth are involved, getting more involved. It's causing our wheels to turn. I'm sure each of you has something that you want to make sure you're going to leave with this listening community, Global Oneness Day listening community. So, Todd, let me start with you. And again, maybe if you could just take a minute or two to share the one thing that you'd love to share with this audience, and also a way that people can reach out to you or follow your work or be involved with Amplifield.
Thanks, Steve. What I'd like to say is that what an opportunity. Everyone that's listening to this has probably been following, the oneness movements, whatever you want to call it, and the emergence of this new spirituality on the planet. But for me, sitting there and listening, and it is, because I'm part of this too, how motivated that we should be right now, that we can actually make a difference, that it's really happening. Like, so much work has been done by people like Barbara Marx Hubbard and Barbara Field and so many others, that have laid the groundwork for this moment in time where we're really approaching that critical mass, as Juan Carlos mentioned before. And as we approach that critical mass, this is when we need the most attention, the most consciousness, the most, action in some ways for people to get involved. So, while we're sitting here and listening to this wonderful day, I would like to leave you all with, hey, let's do something. Like, do whatever you can do, to help, to contribute, to foster. And that could be sharing this with people in your lives that are younger, that may not, be fully on board with this type of message, but, might be open to it, or, contributing to those projects in some way, that, you can make a difference. And I think that's what we're being called to do right now, is to be activated and in action as much as we can, to play our roles with full liberation. So let's do it. This is the time. This next year, I would love to be on this call next year and to hear how much wonderful change has happened on this planet, because it's really accelerating. And so let's just dig in and do the work and have fun.
Yes, and have fun. That's very important, too. And agree, we are approaching this critical mass. We can feel it, as Barbara Marx Hubbard often shares. The birth has already occurred. We're just maturing this birth now. So we're approaching critical mass. And I love that call to action, oneness in action, where we really get out there. We feel into what is our role to play. And getting involved, as you mentioned, we come into what you call full liberation, which is empowering and fun. So, Juan Carlos, let me come over to you. What's the one thing that you'd love to leave with the Global Oneness Day listeners this year?
Yes, what I would like to share to all participants is that don't feel that this is too far away from you, that this is too complex, that it is difficult to achieve this planetary shift. Just be aware that in every step you take, and that every action that you make in your community, with your family, you are making a difference. If we understand that we are all interconnected and that we are all interdependent, every single action and act of love that we make in our simple and easy life, that makes the difference. We never know how far away we are from that change. And if we will see how this small act of compassion and love towards our neighbor, that could be the element, the point, the fact that creates the planetary shift, because we cannot see the ripples beyond every simple act of love. So I would just say let's keep connected to our hearts, and let's be aware how each one of our actions is bringing this global love to the world. So this is what I would just suggest. Connect to your heart, bring your passion and your greatest gifts and talents to the world, connect with others, and we will meet there, whether it is in the Office for the Future or in a Wheel of Co-Creation or in Amplifield, in the many great events that are happening worldwide. It's just trust in yourself and let's make it happen.
I love that one, Carlos. Trust in yourself and make it happen. You started with don't feel too far away. Instead jump in, get involved. Know you can make a difference. Come into your heart. Beautiful. Thank you. And Barbara, B2, if you could just in 1 minute encapsulate your the one message you'd love to leave with the Global Oneness Day listeners.
Thanks, Steve. Well, you know, the truth is we're already one. Truth is truth. How could that be otherwise? Everything we know about the way that the living universe operates tells us that it is all one and unbroken in the beginning. So I guess our task here is to start showing up as who we already know that we are, and to know that basically the actual evolution of civilization as we know it is not happening to us. It's happening through us, and what's even more, it's happening as us. Each and every one of us is an expression of the universe becoming and becoming and becoming itself, and it's all one.
Wonderful. Yes, disunity doesn't exist, does it? We already
know. No, how could it?
And so, no, how could it? And which is why this day, yes, is so important because, spiritual illiteracy is something that is a bit of an issue. So thank you, Barbara. Oh, I love that. And I love that invitation to have spirituality show up through us, not just to us. Beautiful. Thank you. And Barbara, B1, if with you, we've got just about 1 minute here. If you could share, please.
Well, it's 1 minute is all it takes to breathe together on a planetary scale in an experience of love. 1 minute. And I just suggest we do it right now. Breathe together in a planetary shift from fear to love within ourselves and the world. And let it be so.
Let's take some deep breaths into this planetary shift from fear to love. Let's all take just a couple of deep breaths, and beautiful. What a beautiful note to leave it on. Barbara Marks Hubbard, B1. So let me just thank you all here so much. It's just been such a pleasure to be here with you on this panel during the hour. Wow, I've so enjoyed it, and there's just been so much wisdom and heart energy and inspiration and more. So thank you to all of you. I also want to thank all who are participating in Global Oneness Day and who are listening on the Amplifield platform by phone, webcast, and playback. Please leave, as I mentioned earlier, any aha moments or inspirations on the Whole System Shift event schedule page on the Global Oneness Day site or on the Amplifield platform. Next up is the Science of Oneness panel. This is always a favorite program during Global Oneness Day. Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, Lynn McTaggart, and Dean Radden are on the panel this year, which is wow, wow, wow. I'm moderating the panel. You're definitely going to want to enjoy this program, so stay tuned. Before we begin, we're going to be silent for 10 seconds to center ourselves in oneness with the divine and each other. We call this a oneness moment. Let's go ahead and begin our oneness moment right now.